Greetings, audience. It's Joel Grind's time. So lean in and listen up as the topic is ground to a fine point. Today on the show, we will be discussing world history, and we will also be playing Final Fantasy for the Nintendo Entertainment System in order to survive the next ordeal in our sister series, Joel Adventures. And joining me today is...
Jenny.
Jenny! How you doing, Jenny?
I'm doing good.
Great. How do you feel about today's subject?
It's a little heavy duty, but, this is like one of those topics that I'm very interested in, or rather, subject.
Yeah? You want to tell the audience a little bit about your history with world history?
What do you mean by that?
Well,
how much
just
knowledge I have?
Sure, like your background in the subject of world history. Give them an idea of where you're going to be coming from today.
Well, I've been doing a lot of, my own research. I don't take, history books or history textbooks literally all the time,
Yeah.
Basically, I do my own research for different types of world history.
Neat. So today, we're going to change the format up a little bit from our normal answering 3 questions style, and instead we're going to do a lightning round style, where we take turns answering questions, but we have a whole bunch of questions, and we're going to answer briefly. And we're going to get right into it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 1. Summarize the entire history of the world. Go.
History repeats itself. Or it has been, but I'm pretty sure we can break that curse and, evolve to a new level. I believe that. It's just that it's taking a little while because we as human beings have been kind of stubborn and we've been too into our old ways of doing things.
Yeah.
But I think it's time for us to all evolve so we don't have to deal with the same bullcrap that we've been dealing with for thousands of years.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to that?
I think you're right, that we definitely have to work at learning from history in order to try to keep from having it go in cycles, or at least to try to break a few of the bad cycles.
Because it seems like every time I, read, any kind of historical text, it seems like we as human beings have been making the same mistakes for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
Never-ending wars, never-ending struggle, never-ending fights. And it's all like the same thing, or it's all because of the same things most of the time.
Yeah.
Or it seems that way to me.
I agree that the entire history of the world can be summed up in just conflict after conflict, as people fighting. So, let's go on to our second question. How has technology changed the course of history? How has technology made it so history works out differently than it would have otherwise?
Technology could be a blessing and a curse, I think. If you use it right, we can do some good things for mankind. But if you do it for the wrong reason, things can be kind of bad, like the atom bomb.
Yeah. Well, the atom bomb has kind of led to an era of peace because ever since its invention, a lot of countries haven't been getting attacked because their enemies are afraid of them nuking them.
So it kind of goes both ways, but then there are some crazies out there that want to use it and just blow up the world.
Well, I live there.
So I think it just kind of depends on how you see it, and I think technology, is a good thing because if you know what you're doing, you could actually save mankind. But if it goes into the hands of wrong people, it can be kind of devastating.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go on to our third question. What are your thoughts on leaders throughout history? Kings, emperors, dictators, etc.
Wow, that's a heavy-duty one.
Take your time.
I think, these leaders were kind of selfish, a lot of them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some of them, especially emperors and kings, they weren't as bad as, today's dictators.
Yeah.
The man from Iran or North Korea's Kim Jong-il that passed on not too long ago.
Yeah.
And other, communist dictators that came from, various places. So, I think, today's, dictators are kind of brutal. They have mercy, for mankind whatsoever. It seems like they're numb to loving other people but themselves.
Yeah.
While, the kings and emperors, were kind of similar, but yet it seemed like some of them had heart. But it seems like these dictators, these communist dictators, have no heart whatsoever. So I would rather prefer the monarchic kings and emperors than current communist dictators.
Yeah. So, I think that leaders throughout history have shown a remarkable ability to get people organized to get great things done. But sometimes leaders they go a bit too far beyond what would be considered normal or fair.
Yeah, like, with the communist revolution, I'm pretty sure they started out with good intentions, but it just didn't work out too well.
Which one?
Like, Lenin and...
Oh, you mean in Russia?
Yeah. Well, Karl Marx is the one that started, the Communist Manifesto,
Yeah.
because of how the economy was doing in Germany back then.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some good intentions to communism, but it just doesn't work out well it works well on paper, but in real life it doesn't, because I think Karl Marx missed one thing. People are chaotic. So you can't just automatically assume that if you make everybody live the same way, everything's going to be fine. Mankind doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because we're chaotic by nature, we're kind of selfish by nature.
Are we naughty by nature?
I guess so, but, just like the hip-hop group. But, I think Karl Marx forgot to take that into an account when he first came up with the Communist Manifesto.
Yeah.
He completely forgot that we are chaotic by nature, so even when you make everybody act the same way, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I agree with that there's a certain element of human nature that has to be accounted for when you come up with a social system.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the communist leaders that applied Karl Marx's theory, they really didn't understand communism either. So that's the reason why, the Khmer Rouge and Kim Jong-il's regime, it all became this totalitarian. It had nothing to do with communism anymore.
Yeah.
So I think they really was just eating up the power. The power was getting into their heads pretty much without really knowing what communism is, or they're just neglecting it, or they purposely forgot about it. I don't know. Okay. I could go on for hours. Sorry.
Well, let's change gears a little bit for the next question. What role does myth have in how history is remembered?
Like, what kind of myth?
Myths in general, mythology. Stories.
Like Greek mythology?
Stories as opposed to things that actually happened.
Well, like, stories, I can't really, knock it down, because stories are, a more exaggerated version of what really happened.
Like enhanced truth.
Yes.
Sounds fun. I like the idea of enhanced truth.
So I can't say that all myths are wrong. It's just like a blown up version of, exaggerated version of what really happened.
Yeah.
But some are exaggerated so much that you can't really tell the difference anymore.
Yeah. I think that mythology kind of helps to aid the way that history is remembered, because sometimes history is not as exciting as it could be, and I think that by adding elements of drama to historical events, it makes it more memorable, so that people might actually recall some of it.
Yeah,
I think that maybe a good example of this will be that the younger generation might not have been taught as much about Abraham Lincoln as maybe some of the prior generations, but they're going to know who Abraham Lincoln was because of the movie Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is going to be coming out soon. And it's myth applied to a real character, a real person, that kind of, is going to exaggerate what happened in his life to the point where it's not realistic, but it is going to remind people that he was there, that he was a part of history. But then again, Abraham Lincoln is already a pretty well-known historical figure.
And also, when you go to certain countries in Asia, they would still sing about certain famous leaders of a certain time period.
Yeah.
And even though these leaders were around like 500 years ago, and they'd be still singing about it through their folk songs and stuff. And that's how, you know, people are able to get the information through, you know, songs that they've been singing for generations and generations.
Oh, I see. That's neat.
So songs are very informative. Well, folk songs. Anyways.
Yeah. This group's kicking my butt. They're a bit too strong. I think I might have to run away from these guys. I think I'm not quite ready for the Peninsula of Power. Let's go ahead and run away. Okay, let's go on to our next question. Question number 6. Why did imperialism fail?
Well, I think imperialism failed because the imperialistic mindset doesn't have, you know, their people in mind. It's usually, you know, about the people that are in charge.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not getting the benefits of the, you know, from these imperialistic governments.
Yeah.
So, you know, of course, naturally, people are going to overthrow them.
Were most of the empires of the past defeated by being overthrown? I thought most of them just kind of drifted away. I mean, I know that the Ottoman Empire kind of got undone after World War I.
I mean, it just kind of depends on, you know, which history we're talking about here.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about, you know, the era of imperialism. Yeah. The British Empire, the Spanish Empire.
Yeah.
I think, didn't the Portuguese have a bit of imperialism going on?
Yeah, but then it wasn't as large as the British, for sure.
Yeah. And then even the Japanese, didn't they have a couple of imperial spots?
Yeah, so. But then I think one of the reasons why, you know, they were doing that was because they were threatened by the Americans. You know.
Yeah, but, so why is it that we don't have any empires today? Why did they end up not working out? That's the question.
Well, I think, you know, for modern society, it would be kind of hard to keep up an empire because we're more informed than ever before, especially with technology and the internet. You know, it's kind of hard to try to control something because people are going to be more aware and people are going to know their rights and people are going to fight for their rights.
To party?
You know, be something that they want to be. And also, you know, have the freedom that they want as a human being. And these people realize that other people can't control them.
Yeah.
You know,
so having one country kind of controlling another directly, or controlling a colony directly, just didn't seem to really be a good idea.
I mean, look what's been going on lately, like in Egypt and Libya and Iran, and even North Korea is slowly changing because a lot of them are like defecting to China and want to, you know, start new lives because they know that they're not getting anything from the government.
Yeah.
That they trusted for years. And a lot of these people are waking up and saying, hey, this doesn't seem right. I feel like I'm lied to. And I feel like I've been lied to for so many years, you know?
Yeah.
And with, you know, free information, it's harder to keep, you know, a certain group of people in control. It's harder to do that now.
Yeah.
A lot of the information, you know, about the world in general that's been going into North Korea nowadays, it's been coming from, you know, the people in China.
Yeah.
You know, they go through the border and they do business over there. And these people get like, you know, CDs and MP3 files that have informations about what the world is like these days. And then when these people see it, they're like, oh my god.
So you think that North Korea kind of compares to the empires of the past?
Well,
the Roman Empire, the British Empire.
Well, not exactly the same, but it shows that controlling something, you know, will absolutely like fail
so the elements,
the people and also fail the country because they've been doing it for 60 years and they're not getting anything out of it, and especially the people are not getting anything out of it.
Hold on. So the metaphor is that North Korea is like a historical empire in that they're controlling their populace the way that empires controlled their colonies.
Yeah, and after a while, people are going to say, you know, we've been lied to, we're not getting fed, and the government said that they're going to do all this, but we're not getting anything from them, and we're doing all this work, but we're not seeing anything in return.
Yeah.
And of course they're gonna feel like they've been fooled for so long, because it's just been going on for 60 years, and for the last 15 years people have been slowly waking up bit by bit.
Yeah.
And now with the internet it's even harder, because we have free information now. So once it gets into North Korea from China, with these MP3 files and CDs and whatnot, they're gonna be like, wow, the world was like this, and we didn't even know it. And we have to eat from tree barks because we're not getting any food. And if we complain even a little bit about how our ration is, we're gonna go into concentration camp.
Ooh.
This kind of governing, this kind of system is just too old-fashioned to even work.
Yeah.
And with the internet, people are waking up. And with this great technology, with free information and all that, it's waking people up. It happened in Egypt, it happened in Libya, it happened in Iran, several years ago, and it's slowly happening in North Korea as well.
Right. So, how do you think that compares to the empires of old? Like, as for example, when America rebelled against the British Empire, that would be kind of similar to the population of one of these nations rising up against a dictator.
Yeah, but back then, things were a little bit slow going because the information wasn't as free, because
it had to come over by boat.
Yeah.
Newspapers and whatever.
Yeah, and
the laws and the changes to the laws had to come over by boat.
Exactly.
So there's always like a 4-month delay.
Exactly. That's kind of slow, but now with this, it's instant. With Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can find out about what happened in another country miles and miles away, like in less than like half an hour. I mean, it's like everything is instant. Like, you're on Twitter, 3 minutes later, some so and so from so and so country died, and you're like, whoa,
Oh, like Whitney Houston.
Yeah, exactly. Like
everybody knew about it, within moments of it being reported by authorities.
Exactly. Whether it's a celebrity or a political figure or anything,
Or those guys in those Iranian terrorist guys that got caught in Tibet, not Tibet. Anyways, they got caught in a country that wasn't Iran or Israel, trying to kill some Israeli diplomats.
So if this was like pre-internet, it would have been hard to know what would happen, like way over there on the other side of the globe, until like weeks later and sometimes days later. But ever since we got television, things got easier and easier, but then it's even more instantaneous with the internet.
Yeah, so maybe the difference in technology kind of weakens the metaphor, because the world is so different now.
Yep, that's the reason why, dictators can't kind of get by with what they used to, because of the internet.
Yeah.
And because, of the technology that we have now, it's harder to control the masses than before, because the information is going to, get around.
Yeah. So, let's shift gears for the next question. Question number 7. Who is your favorite historical leader, and why? If you don't have a leader in mind, it could also be a historical figure.
Well,
they don't have to necessarily be a leader.
Well, I like Abraham Lincoln. He's one of them. Because
he killed vampires.
No, let's not go there, please. It's because he helped free the slaves, and, and he was doing the right thing for the people,
Yeah.
And I think he was the turning point of American history, that led to civil rights, 100 years later.
Yeah, he kind of got the ball rolling on that.
Yep.
Kind of making America the place it was supposed to be, that it was promised to be.
Yeah, because like in 1965, the civil rights movement started to become active, and it became the law.
Yeah.
And I think
civil rights, it's the law.
So in other words, without Abraham Lincoln, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Or it would have taken a lot longer.
Yeah, if the Confederacy won the war, I think things would have been totally different.
Yeah, they would have become the Confederate States of America.
Exactly.
And they would have two countries.
And the thing is, because of the civil rights, they were able to have people from other countries immigrating to the United States.
Yeah.
And that affects me too, because my aunt came to the United States because of my uncle that she met from U.S. Army.
Oh.
And since the immigration law was a little bit lenient after the civil rights, more people from other countries were able to come to America to find freedom or opportunities and whatnot.
Not to mention that the people that did come over didn't have to deal with Jim Crow laws.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I say Abraham Lincoln was the person that totally turned everything around. Because without him, I doubt that we would have had civil rights movement, or it would have taken longer. And if that's the case, a lot of people that originally came from somewhere else wouldn't even be here right now, and I'll be one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be in America. This is a very blessed and lovely country, and I'm glad I'm from here.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I say I like Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. As far as historical figures go, I'm a big fan of George Washington because he chose not to be a king after the war against England ended and America kind of set themselves apart from England. People said, "Okay, well, George Washington, you want to be the king of America?" And he's like, I didn't just fight a war against one king to become a king. And he helped to set up America to be the country it eventually became.
Yep.
And I think, we owe everything that America is to him, choosing not to decide that America would just become another England.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that they were fighting for in the Revolutionary War was the right to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
But they didn't determine until afterwards how they were going to make those decisions. Whether they were going to have a king or someone elected, or how they were going to do it. And so, George Washington, he was a very popular general. He led the revolutionary forces to defeat the British. He could have very well become the king of America, and we could have, King Washington the 7th right now, instead of, President Barack Obama. And that probably wouldn't have been as good for the country.
Yeah, so that's the reason why, people like Washington, Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, those guys are like one of my top 10 favorite, American leaders.
And also Washington, he's a pretty cool guy. He's able to kick really hard. He could kick you apart if you wanted to.
That's from the song, and I don't know if a lot of people will be familiar with that.
Well, we'll see.
Just look up George Washington's song on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to our next question. Why are some things left out of history books?
Well, that's a very, very delicate subject or question to get into. Well, it's because, they say that history is written by winners. I think that's not completely true, but it's partially true.
Yeah.
And, when you reveal everything, then these certain people might have the power that they have now.
So they're hiding the facts to give themselves, to make themselves look better.
Yep.
Like, for example, in Japan, they don't really teach much about World War II.
Yeah, and there's some controversial stuff about that because they either leave it out or they completely tweak it.
Kind of gloss it over.
Yeah, like for instance, they don't even admit the fact that they went into China and did all the atrocities that they did. And the Chinese people were really, really angry because the Japanese people wouldn't, teach that to the kids in their textbooks. Maybe
they just feel like those particular facts are better off learned once the kids get a bit older. Maybe they're a bit too severe, the facts for that age category or something. But they don't teach it in high school or college either, do they?
I think college is a little bit different because, the university professors are more serious about getting the truth out there. But I'm talking about like secondary schools, like middle school and high school, and even elementary school. They don't really teach that to the kids.
I see.
College is a little bit different because there's like, a more open-mindedness in the university. So the college students might run into professors that'll teach the truth.
Oh, I see.
But in middle school and high school, they don't do that. And even China's the same way. They leave out like a lot of things, and the students are like misled. So that's the reason why you have to read between the lines, and you can't like completely take all the history books in classes too seriously. If you really want the truth, you just have to dig on your own and trust your own instincts. Because people are gonna lie.
Okay.
I hate to say this, but these people leave out some truths for their benefits.
Oh, old people. I agree that most of the time when history is rewritten for the textbooks, it's usually to make the powers that be that are running the country at the time look better. And then usually, a couple dozen years go by, and then eventually the textbooks get fixed because the people that were trying to cover things up die.
Yeah, and
so maybe 100 years from now, the Japanese textbooks will actually talk more openly about World War II.
Yeah,
because the people that stand to look bad from it are going to be dead.
And I know that there are some Japanese leaders out there that don't agree with the lies.
Yeah.
They go by their conscience. They go by their conscience, and they're like, you know what, this is not right.
Yeah.
This is what the truth is really, but you're hiding it, and you're making us look like liars.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say that all Japanese politicians are bad.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there that want to reveal the truth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just everywhere, That's like worldwide. There's going to be some good politicians. There are going to be some bad politicians.
Yeah. So, just real quick before we get to our next question, I went to go and try to fight some bad guys over in a castle to the north, but then I realized I can't fight them yet. So I'm trying to find enemies to fight that give good experience, but don't kill me as quickly as those giant guys were, because I don't seem to be quite strong enough for them. But I don't seem to have access to them, so I'm just going to fight around Elf Town some more, in case anybody's wondering. And so we move on to question number 9. What do you think of the phrase, "Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it"?
Well, I kind of find that to be truthful, because, look at our world history,
Yeah.
Starting from the first written world history till now. It seems like there have been a lot of same mistakes made over and over again.
Yeah.
And I guess if you don't really think about it, you're just going to keep on making those mistakes without even realizing that you're doing it.
And so maybe by studying history and learning from the mistakes of others, you might be less likely to make those same mistakes yourself.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, we've been so apathetic as a culture for a long time.
Being
mankind. Mankind as a whole has been apathetic, or they're just in denial. I think we have a lot of re-evaluating to do. We have a lot of things to undo. We have a lot of things to learn.
Yeah.
I think as human beings that are evolving, we need to do those things. If we're gonna progress, if we're gonna not make the same mistakes that we've been making for thousands of years, we have to re-evaluate what we've been doing for all this time.
Yeah.
Go into the history books, see what they've been doing, and see how things are now, and evaluate them. And say, hey, what can we do to change this and make things better for everyone?
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe that might be unrealistic, but I think it could happen if we try hard enough. Maybe not now, not like in the near future, but maybe later on, sometime in the future.
Yeah. I think that in the future, all the history from, say, about 10 years from now on, we won't even need history books for, because I think that everybody's going to walk around with a camera and a microphone attached to their head and literally record their entire life from start to finish. And then there won't be any question about what happened at any point in their life, because it'll be all recorded. And in that case, there won't be any need for history books, because you'll literally just look up what happened to that person that day on YouTube and watch their entire life's events, maybe with marked highlights or something.
Yeah, that's why I say if you use it right, technology is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, unless you're a bad guy, because then you wouldn't want to have the hat recorder.
Yep.
Okay, so let's move on to our last question. What can world history and its methods of being passed down teach us about the human condition?
Well,
when I'm talking about methods, I mean like history books, stories, cave paintings. About what are the different ways that we keep track of history teach us about who we are as people? Talking about some deep philosophy type stuff here, or not.
It shows that we are capable. It shows that we do have, abilities to survive.
Yeah.
And it shows that we're brave in certain situations.
Yeah.
And humans have a lot of abilities to do things.
Okay.
but yet at the same time, it shows our darker side, our weaknesses. Like for instance, we'll do anything to kill somebody for something. You know, for
like a York peppermint patty.
Yeah, we still have
what
that
would you do for York peppermint
we still
patty?
have that caveman DNA inside us.
Yeah.
Even if our technology has developed, we are very sophisticated technologically, but deep inside, we still have that caveman survival tactics that we still use today.
I think that's what the guy in Saw was getting at. That having to survive something helps you to wake up.
Yeah, and so we wouldn't even hesitate to kill another man to eat.
To eat the York peppermint patty.
Yeah, if you want to be extreme about it. So
those are really tasty.
So that's kind of sad in a way.
Yeah, but I'd be happy to have a York peppermint patty.
And I guess it's kind of natural because we see bears doing it. We saw that video just earlier.
With the bears.
Male bears would attack the cubs so he could eat.
Yeah.
So I think that's very, very primal, but yet we as people still do it. Even with sophisticatedness, but with bears and animals, it's a little bit more forgiving because they don't have technology. They've been living that way for so long. Hunting, gathering. Just very basic way of life. But us with humans, we don't live that basic life like we used to thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And we have all this technology, but we still have that instinct inside of us.
Yeah.
That's what trips me out, really.
Yeah. I think that the methods of passing down history, like for example, orally, it kind of shows that we just use whatever technology is at hand. And the nice thing about an oral tradition is as long as your ancestors live, the oral tradition continues. And I think that history really has been a great example of technology. The better our technology of remembering history gets, the more accurate our recollection becomes. Scrolls only last so long, and carvings in stone always seem to be the best way to go.
And the thing that surprises me is, like if you go to Asia, like China and other countries, they have a lot of scrolls that have been preserved,
like laminated.
Yeah, for like hundreds of years or even thousands of years. But more like anywhere from 10 to not 10.
About 1 to 3,000.
1 to 3,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the oldest Chinese scrolls are about 3 to 4,000.
Mm-hmm. But then the thing is, the government won't let anybody look for it.
Because there's secrets in those scrolls.
I mean, because if
about
somebody,
the space aliens.
Yeah, if somebody finds it and reveals it, the Chinese government could be in a lot of,
Yeah, because they hid the space aliens.
I don't know about that.
And the zombies.
I mean, I don't know about that. That's a little too extreme. But then there's a lot of heavy duty secrets inside that they don't want anybody to know. That's what I think, and that's the reason why it's forbidden and restricted. There have been a lot of explorers trying to go in there and find things because they want to know the truth, but it's government officials only most of the time.
Well, they get to have all the fun. It's a government plot. So
sometimes I wish I could be powerful so I can reveal all the truth.
All the truth? Is it enhanced truth or just regular?
Both. I don't know.
I like enhanced truth because it involves sword fights. So that's all our questions. I think we got through the topic pretty well. I think we need to grind it down just a little more. So let's sum up our thoughts. Is there a single point that you can draw from our conversation today? If you had to sum up everything that we've been talking about, what is the most important thing? What is the point that someone should take away from this?
I think, people should start reading more history and evaluate instead of just being fed by what the textbook teaches you or what the teachers teach you. Why don't you really ask questions? The only way we can find real answers is to continually ask questions, not just say, okay, the history books say this, so we must believe that this is the truth. Instead of doing that, you have a brain. ask questions.
Brains.
You know, I think asking questions is a good thing, because if it wasn't by that, if it wasn't for, questioning and being curious, we wouldn't have all the technology that we have today.
Yeah.
You know, Galileo questioned.
Yeah.
You know, and all these other other scientists and inventors, they question. They're like, how can we make things better?
Yeah.
Do you think I could really believe this? You know, asking themselves. I've been taught this, but I'm gonna dig deeper.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we, like later on learn that the Earth is round instead of flat.
Yeah.
So, keep on asking questions. Don't hesitate to ask questions. You know, you're your own person, so you have the right to, and you have the capability to, just like anybody else. So just because a textbook says certain things doesn't mean you have to believe in everything they say.
Yeah.
And also, do your own research. If you're really interested in this subject, and if you really want to know the truth, ask questions, and also do your own research. Read between the lines when you're reading textbooks or any kind of...
But there usually isn't anything between the lines.
But you know where I'm getting at.
Yeah, you gotta decide what the author was thinking, whether or not there's bias.
Yeah, make your own decision. Make your own judgment. Instead of just saying, okay, the teacher taught me this subject and this is the way it is, so I'm gonna believe everything.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I agree. The best thing to take away from this is, when it comes to history, you can't always believe everything that's in the history books to be absolute fact. You have to sometimes dig a bit deeper and look for other sources than just a single textbook. And you have to also think about the culture of the person that wrote it, how they feel about the way things work. Mm-hmm. Different countries and different peoples look at history in different ways. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a pretty good point to take away from all this, that world history is a valuable and interesting subject, but one which you have to be very careful about, not to just believe what you see.
And the cool thing is, it's like a documentation of how we evolved as human beings.
Okay.
And so if we have a better idea of how we evolved, it'll help us to evolve even more and be more progressive as people.
Yeah, I agree. And you have any final thoughts before we get our outros going?
Hopefully, more people that are listening to this, will, be more interested in the subject, and read more, and also do their own research. If they can help it and if they have the time to do so. Yeah. Because it's very enlightening and worthwhile.
Yeah. My final thoughts on the subject are, you should study world history because it has both pirates and ninjas in it.
Woohoo!
And cowboys.
Woohoo!
And with that, I am going to say, Jenny, thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome. And thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And whereabouts on the internet might somebody involve themselves with things that you do?
They can find me on Twitter at Magic1Girl10.
Yeah.
Or Facebook, Jenny Park. Or Magic Princess 9000.
Where's that?
Facebook.
Ah, okay.
Yes, and on YouTube it's Magic Princess 9000. Because the thing is, for both my Facebook and YouTube, it's Magic Princess 9000.
Oh, I see. They can search for you by username on Facebook. Your username is Magic Princess. I see now. I understand.
Okay.
You get that, audience? We get it. Okay. And you can find me on the internet at I'm a Joel on Twitter. I am a Joel. And here on the I'm the Joel YouTube channel, and also the I'm the Joel Facebook page, all of which are hopefully updated daily with all kinds of cool things. And with that, I would like to say, our topic has been sharpened, and our adventurers are stronger, so until next time, keep your wit sharp and your blade sharper. And that's it. Farewell.
Farewell.